Hello, everyone. We're Marn and Angela, and this is Homeschool Unrefined. We created this podcast to change the conversation about homeschool. This is a place where we encourage each other to do less, be ourselves, embrace natural learning, and keep homeschool simple, real, and fun. We live 2 miles from each other in Minnesota, and we've been friends for over 20 years. Our kids are between the ages of 9 and 15, and we've been homeschooling a combined total of 19 years. We are an inclusive and non-sectarian podcast and community. We believe Black Lives Matter and affirm LGBTQ plus families. While this podcast is not focused on these topics, these beliefs inform our work and are woven into everything we do. We hope this is a place where we can all learn and grow together.
This is episode 147. You've got this. The device dilemma. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But first, hi, Angela.
Hi.
How you doing?
Great.
Good. I have a Facebook squad question for you.
All right.
This is for our patrons, but I wanted to share one with everyone. The question is, how do you know when your kids are stressed?
How very timely of you to ask this.
I'm asking hypothetically.
No. Oh, you said you usually ask these because you're like thinking about it in the moment.
Yeah.
So when you asked this, I was thinking, she's thinking about this. Okay. I would say the first thing that actually came to my mind is I feel like I get blamed for things a lot, and I don't realize that that's what's happening.
Oh yeah. Until
later when I'm like, wait a minute, this is just stress and anxiety, and this isn't really all my fault.
Right.
Or, like they don't really think everything's my fault. They're just, this is how they're expressing their stress. So I think that's one way. I think the more probably obvious ways are like high emotions in all forms. All forms of emotions are really high.
Right.
So like
positive, negative, everything.
Positive, negative, mad, sad, all the emotions.
The spectrum
of emotions.
Yes.
And then I would say also my kids fight more with each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
this
I know you can all relate.
Oh yeah, this all sounds very familiar and normal.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of those things. I think also we've talked a lot about being a highly sensitive person. We've had an episode about it. I see a lot of those tendencies kind of come out during stressful situations or special times. So, just highly sensitive to, sometimes it's a tone of voice. Somebody's very sensitive about the way somebody said something, it's very easy to just get offended and upset about things, or highly sensitive about the temperature, or, it could be just something very physical too. How long it takes them, to get in the car, if they feel rushed to get in the car or something, those kind of things. Like that is when my kids, that's how they kind of, I think, show their stress.
Yeah. And I have to be honest that these are a lot of the ways I show my stress too.
I would say me too, probably. Yeah.
I recognize this.
I don't know where they get this from. But what we didn't really talk about as much in the Facebook group, but I wanted to ask you today is like, so then what? What happens? Your kids are stressed, and it seems it's interesting now because, we have different kinds of stress now. It's not always like a million things to do kind of stress. Outside of the home, because we're in a pandemic, we're maybe doing less outside of the home, but there's still stress. I mean, there's stress kind of going, like
worrying about what's going to happen. That's
absolutely,
some of my kids
yes,
are stressed about, and me.
Yeah.
Worrying about what's going to happen, thinking about not seeing people who they want to see. When are they going to be able to fit in? It's getting colder. How are we going to be able to see people?
Yep. A real concern. It is.
Concerns about stuff like that. Yeah. And so, I mean, for me, I have to remember to treat everyone with compassion.
Yes.
Instead of feeling offended or like, my kids are fighting. What am I doing wrong? I need to change something. Just having compassion for everyone in the situation, and realizing that this is a very human, natural response.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
we are in a stressful situation. This is how humans handle stress.
Right.
Handle stress.
I
It's
don't
normal.
want my kids to feel bad that they're feeling this way and that they're acting like that. I mean, we can talk about, how to do it better or whatever, but I don't want them to feel like I'm a bad person for
or I'm handling this incorrectly.
Right. Yeah, and we work, I always think my first reaction is we need connection. We need a connection, a positive connection point here. So we need to cuddle and do something together, positively. Maybe it's a movie, maybe it's a game or a read aloud time or a puzzle or something, whatever it is that kid, needs to kind of like reconnect together. And then listen, I mean, I think I'm learning this, and it's different when our kids are older. Sometimes I think I really have to lay down the law now. But really, I think what I need to actually do is learn to listen even more to what they need. I mean, sometimes I think our kids need more, or know more than anything what they need. They may not be saying it in the perfect way or the best way, but they're often trying to tell us something.
Right.
That's
really important. Yep. Yeah. And not trying to necessarily push the feelings away. Right. I think the other thing I'm trying to do is like work on prevention more than like a reaction. So like, do we need to be getting outside more? Do we need to be having like more time together or more time apart? Right. Do we need to connect in a certain way more? Like, how can we mitigate the stress at the front end?
Yes. Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
And this is the time.
Good question.
This is the time to be doing those things, probably.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's never going to be perfect, but
we're not going to be perfect. And like the other thing is, you were talking about connection, and that sometimes is, counterintuitive. Because as the parent, we're like, I need a break. I need to get away.
Yeah.
That's okay too.
Let me just say, I take that for myself too.
Yeah.
It's maybe both. Like this kid needs connection, so I'm going to pour some connection, into this kid, and then I need to go.
Yeah.
Because that does take a lot out of me too. So
for sure.
I have to give myself that.
Yeah. Well, if you are interested in joining our Facebook squad group and also joining us on Patreon and getting extra episodes and other benefits of Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined, and that's just $5 a month.
All right. Today's episode is sponsored by Connected Kindred. If you are a listener of Homeschool Refined, chances are good that you're leading a life off the beaten path. Many of you are homeschoolers, so you know what it's like to think a little differently about guiding children and nurturing them through life, rather than ruling over them. But what do we do when dominating children is our default? What if you're someone who wants a more connected home, but was raised in a family where yelling and spanking were the norm? How do you maintain a close bond with your kids while also ensuring that they continue to progress in the areas needed to become a successful and thriving adult? Well, Nuyurka Maldonado of Connected Kindred has programs available to tackle those exact issues. She is a parent coach that helps caregivers dive into their past to uncover patterns and unconscious beliefs that cause them to parent in ways that contradict their values. She helps her clients replace these beliefs with more self-honoring ones, and also provides practical tools for establishing boundaries that are respectful. No more lashing out in ways you're going to regret later. If you found you've read a ton of literature and articles on parenting in a more respectful way, but still find you often lose your temper in the heat of the moment, or if you've fallen into a pattern of permissive parenting and struggle with personal boundaries and establishing clear family values, the Connected Kindred has a program for you. You can learn more at connectedkindred.com, on Facebook at connectedkin, or on Instagram at connectedkindred, where she offers a ton of free resources and videos. Angela and I have both benefited from New York's coaching services and can personally highly recommend them.
All right. So our topic today is the device dilemma, because we wanted to talk about this because I think, we're all feeling the... Do we even need to tell everybody why we wanted to talk about this? I'm sure all the parents out there are stressing about how much their kids are on devices. Mm-hmm. I know we are. And I know every parent I've talked to is stressing about this right now. Mm-hmm. And so we just thought we could process through some of our thoughts and feelings about this with everybody. Yeah, this isn't just so you all know, this isn't going to be like, we're the experts and we're going to tell you all of our tips and how to do
screens. These things and everything will be great. Just do these things,
it'll be great. Mm-hmm. That's not what this is going to be like. And if you've been around a while, you know most of our episodes are not like that anyway.
Right, exactly. Although, it would be great. It would be so nice to have an episode like that, wouldn't it? Like, just do these things. It would feel so nice.
Tell me what to do.
Just tell me what to do and I will do it and it'll be better. But like so many other things, this is personal. It's a personal thing. It's every child reacts differently. Every adult reacts differently. And we all have different needs and values in this area. So I think it's so important to remember there's no definitive one way to do this. And like we've said 1,000 times probably on our podcast, we are living in unprecedented times. Have you heard that quote enough? Not just on our episode, but I mean, I just feel like that's what everybody's saying this, but it's true. Yeah.
It's cliche by now.
The cliche of 2020 is we are living in unprecedented times. No one knows how to live through a pandemic like this. Nobody's lived through this before, and we are figuring it out right now this year.
Yeah. And no one knows how to parent through a pandemic. We are still, like you always tell me that your husband tells you, Sean says, we're still in the new age of the internet. If we're taking the wide view of time, we're still at the beginning of the internet. And, we are still learning about how to parent.
Yes.
With the internet and screens and devices. Yep. And then attack a pandemic onto that. This is all just uncharted territory. And I think we all just need to stop and realize we're doing our best.
We have to give ourselves credit for this because, and I've said this in other contexts on different episodes, but this is not parenting 101. This is the highest level parenting coach you could, or class you could take, or, to live through.
I love when you say that. Say that again.
This is high level parenting.
I don't think anybody else says that.
Yeah.
This is a master. You're getting your master's or your PhD right now in parenting.
And give yourself credit for it because this is not the shallow waters. And this is...
No.
Yeah. So here we go. We're all in this together. The great thing is we're all in this together too. Mm-hmm. We're all learning this too at the same time, this pandemic parenting kind of thing.
Right.
So, but also parenting, the screen time struggle can be the biggest joy sucker, I think, for parents. Even if you are doing it well, you can tend to overthink it and think something's going wrong. What am I doing wrong? Your kids may be enjoying something really great on a screen, and you have the perfect amount of, you have the right amount of time set aside for that, and it's a good balance, and everything's good, and you can still be like, I need to change something. I don't know what, but I think something needs to change. And you can't even enjoy the moment, the downtime that you have, or, the system you've put in place.
Yeah. The amount of time I spend thinking about screens and what I might need to change or tweak, and then talking to my husband about it, and then getting his opinion, and then us coming up with a plan or whatever. Yes. That is a lot of our time. That is a lot of our downtime.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll like have some time alone. Like maybe we'll go on a walk and he'll be like, do you want to talk about like the kids and screens? And I'll be like, no, I mean, I know we need to, but I also don't want to. I'm tired of the subject. I'm tired of thinking about it. And I think that's where just me, like, cause maybe not many of you are like that. I don't know. I need to like, just stop.
Yes.
just maybe like give up little bits of it.
Well,
I feel like
anything you overthink, it just kind of sucks the joy out of it, and you can't actually, get the goodness out of it. There are good things about it. It's kind of like when our kids are outside, we're thinking, oh my gosh, they're running. They should be doing work. They should
be doing school.
Oh my gosh, we haven't done everything on our list, and they're outside playing.
or when they're doing the creative play, like when like you want them to do school, but then they like bring out all their blocks or dolls or whatever, and they play with their siblings so nicely, and you're like, we need to be doing school.
I know. Can we just enjoy something for a minute? That's what I think. That's what I ask myself sometimes. Like, can I just enjoy this moment? And just let it be what it is or whatever, so.
But then when they're inside, like maybe reading all day, you're like, you need to get outside.
I know many parents who have complained about their kids reading. I can't say I've complained about that, but that's just because my kids aren't big eye readers, but I have complained about my kids' audiobook time.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Like, I think you're doing too much listening to audiobooks. So I think the point is, like, we're not satisfied. Like, I'm not satisfied. Like, I still always think whatever we're doing isn't quite right. Or not quite like where I want it to be. And I'm always thinking about what I need to change. And I need to let go. I think
it has more of a reflection, and I think you've said this before. Like, it has more of a reflection on how we feel about ourselves almost than anything. Like you've mentioned, like it's kind of like your body image. It doesn't matter like how well you take care of it. You'll always find the imperfections and.
Oh yeah, like it's not about for the screens. It's not about if you're doing it right or not, because you're always going to think you aren't doing it right.
Right. Yep.
So like if I remember like 10 years ago when my kid was watching too much PBS, like, and by too much, I mean like, I don't know, let's just on a crazy day, 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't know. I was so worried about that. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, that was nothing. That was like,
remember when
that was perfect.
Remember when we didn't have iPads?
Yeah. And so like it really
back then.
That's proof that it's not really about screens or like how much they're doing or how little they're doing. It's about like that you don't feel like you're doing it right in the moment.
Perspective. That's so good. Yes. So we are here to say, please don't be hard on yourself through this time, especially, but really ever. Have compassion for yourself.
All right. So with that, we thought we'd just tell you a few things that work for us. These are not, I feel like I need all the disclaimers. These are just like things we're thinking about as we make decisions about screens. And, they're things that are like kind of at the top of our mind. And we just want to have a conversation about it and, adapt this to what might work for you. Hopefully maybe you'll get a couple of good nuggets. I don't know, but I just don't want anybody to think that like we have this figured out, because we don't.
Right.
Yes, but we're just going to give you a few things that we think about when we think about screens.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. So, okay. The first thing that I think about is I want to prioritize connection. And, that's one of the things I want to prioritize. So I'll just talk about that first.
Yeah, go for it.
We talk about this a lot on our podcast through different, aspects of parenting and homeschooling. But it rings true with screens too. During this time, especially, I want to prioritize connection. By that I mean, I want my kids to talk to friends. I want them to play games with friends. I want them to talk to family. And so anytime and I also want them to like hang out together, like as siblings. So anytime they're doing something like that, I'm always trying to be very happy about it in my mind.
Yeah.
So one of my kids does FaceTime for an hour with a friend. Great. I'm happy about that. We're in a pandemic. You need connection.
Right.
My family does Zoom. My extended family does Zoom once a week. I want to prioritize that. It doesn't necessarily come at the best time of the day. It's like middle of the day when we should be doing school. That's okay. It's important to my kids. It's important to me. It's important to them. I prioritize that. That's better than, any academic thing we were going to do today.
Right.
My kids ask, like, I know it's early morning, late at night. I know it's school time, whatever it is. Can I play a game with these couple friends?
Right,
Can I play
right.
Minecraft with these friends? I typically say yes to that because I know like they're going to be talking at the same time. They're working on a project together. I just think that connection is so important.
Right. It's not really like they're going, and I think my kids love having their own time on their own device, and which is, I think, fine too. I do.
Yes.
But there is something very different about social time in Minecraft, let's say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of planning. It's kind of, it's not the same as being together in person, but so many of the same aspects kind of carry over to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So, and then another thing that's really a priority for me is personal projects. Like I said, the building of a Minecraft project. My son is working. What he loves to do is watch a YouTube video on how to build a certain thing in Minecraft, and then he'll go and build it. And he will go down a huge tunnel, a very long tunnel, and just like work on something like that for a long time. And there's just so much great things, so many great things happening at that time. And I just think I don't want to even interrupt his flow sometimes in that, because it's a big important project for him. And when he's done, he wants to show it to everyone in the family and tell everybody everything about it, how he made stuff and how hard this was and how many hours he worked on this one thing. And he's really proud of it. And so those are great things. I have a child who follows and watches a lot of cooking videos, cooking and baking. So honestly, a lot of her screen time is in the kitchen. When it's screen time, she's often watching how to make something and then she's making it. And we were just, Sean and I were just actually talking about this last night, how amazed we are that she does these, just outlandish things. Like I was telling Sean, I didn't make a whole pie from front to back until I was in my 30s. And I did it once and I was like, I think I'm done. I'm never going to do this again. That was so hard. And she did it one day and Sean was just mentioning how awesome it was that all that was on a video for her. Because if that was just written out for her, she may not have been as engaged with it. May not have done it. Yeah. But it was on this cool, she's this person who she's really connected to. She really likes following this person, and she made this cool pie, and then she was like, I'm going to do this. So I don't know, just things like that. I think I'm embracing right now.
Right. And so if they're interested in doing that, it's usually a yes for me.
It is. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I have similar stories with my kids too. When they're like into a project, it's not passive watching, which I think there's a place for that too.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get down on that.
Right. Yeah.
But if they're like, doing some project in a game, or I have one child who likes to teach herself songs, on different instruments that she's learning. TikTok's a thing, the TikTok dances. Yeah. I think that's amazing. Learning TikTok dances is so valid.
Yes.
I love that. And
then, so then what my oldest does on TikTok is she follows a lot of, kind of political and social justice-y type of people, and I feel like she's learning a lot. And then it's not just TikTok, but then she reads articles on this is where the education here is, like how to be a smart consumer of this material and ask how do I know that this is good and valid and the right thing to be watching. And we watch things together and talk about it a lot. But like, I also think that is, it is invaluable. I feel like she knows so much about what's going on in the world right now that, had I just told her no TikTok and, we're just going to do this curriculum about the government,
politics.
yes.
Yeah.
She would have, probably kind of rolled her eyes and been like, this doesn't sound fun. And so, I could have done it. I can use my power for that as a parent, but, it just, the results wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
So there are lots of good things happening, and I think it comes with another like side job, which is managing it and maintaining it and educating our kids on how to be smart about so many things right now, and also managing the parental controls as far as like, what am I going to allow my kids to see right now? What can't they see? What, where's my limit? And so it does take a lot of energy. I just want to also validate that. That takes a lot of energy. So much energy.
And nobody's seeing that, and nobody's giving you credit for that.
Yes.
Except for us right now.
You get all the credit for
that.
Gold medal. As far as restrictions, I've done it so many different ways, and I know you have too.
Yeah.
You've tried all the different ways, and it's different for every family. It's different. There's no one way to do this. But what I've realized is some kids need different limits than others.
Yeah.
And which can be tricky, but also having these discussions with my family, I feel like it kind of makes sense to them. They kind of get it now.
Yeah.
Like, my oldest needs limitations on TikTok because I love that she's learning these things, but then also like, I don't want her to bring her into this adult world for super long. And so, I limit that. I limit YouTube for some kids, but not others, because I see what they're doing. And, for some, it has a negative effect if it's too much YouTube.
Yeah.
And for others, like, my son who's making Minecraft videos, like he kind of needs a long time to watch these videos and build a thing. So it'd be really tough if I,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I am doing that as well. I'm limiting TikTok and YouTube as well. Just right now.
Yeah.
I didn't in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like for me, this goes in waves of like couple months long. And then I get a new idea of how I want to do it.
Yes,
and,
me too.
I change my mind about something, or like, now we can go back to YouTube for a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing similar things as far as restricting for some kids, restricting for shorter, like little periods of time, but then also like making exceptions. Yes. I do a lot of making exceptions.
Yeah.
Because somebody will be like, I really want to watch this thing on YouTube, or can I have more time on TikTok because I'm now with my friends and we're doing this thing. And I'm always saying yes to those.
Yeah. I think that's really, really, I mean, this is where it's harder. That's harder than just saying, yes or no.
I know.
It's,
I wish it was
I know, but I feel like it's more proactive hard than like reactive hard. So it's hard at the front end there, but then we're not dealing with all the fallout of, doing it, making it, hard for everybody afterwards.
Right.
I'm trying to set it up in a positive way. So that's the hard part.
Yes.
And I'd rather do that than like deal with all the negative consequences of, everybody being frazzled about screens.
Right. Okay. So in our family, how we handle these discussions these decisions about, screens and devices is I try and have lots of ongoing family discussions. These happen spontaneously and often. And usually it starts with me just asking, like, how are we all feeling about our screen time lately? And myself included. I'm just curious, do you think, like, how is your body feeling? Are you getting any headaches? Like, how are you feeling about the content that you're like consuming?
Yeah.
Do you feel like, have you come across anything inappropriate?
Mm-hmm.
And I try to talk about my own things that I need a few more boundaries for myself.
Yeah.
Like, I might say, like,
Yeah.
oh, I've been on my phone too much lately. I really am trying to rein that in. And so I think I need a new boundary. I think I'm going to, whatever, like, not pick up my phone before 9 a.m. or something like that. Or I think I'm going to try and put music on more for everybody or something like that. So I try and also talk about this in the way that's like, this isn't like the kids have a problem and the adults don't. This is like, this is an issue that we all just need to be aware of.
Right.
You know, because we don't want it to veer into unhealthy, which sometimes it does. And that's okay too. But like, we just want to try and be healthy.
Well, and I think our goal here is not to control them for the rest of their lives. Our goal is for them to self-regulate on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're just having limits and not talking about it or having them check in, then they're not getting to that next level of like, oh yeah, this is why you are putting limits on, or this is why we only do screens in the afternoons or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because, this feels better for my body and my mental health. I feel happier.
Yep.
And then they can also say, kind of speak up for themselves too and say, well, listen, I don't think you're giving me enough time for whatever, because when I do it this long, I'm still following, I'm still doing all my chores. I'm still doing all my work. I'm nice to my siblings. And, they can make a case because they know that that's what's happening in their own body.
Yeah. And they know that I really do value what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
value what they're telling me, and I want to hear how they think it's going. And so I think that open communication is just real key.
Yeah.
The other thing that's key about it is, that feeling when like you walk into the room and all your kids are on devices and you're like, oh my gosh, get off your devices. Like, I've tried not to say that anymore, but I do think it in my head, or sometimes I've said it, right?
Me too.
And that time is not a good time to have the talk.
Right.
When you're frustrated about how much everybody's on their device is like the worst time. And I've learned that through experience.
Yep.
So,
because then everybody's defensive.
Everybody's defensive, including me.
Yeah.
We're all like on edge about this. Yep. And they were like, well, Mom, I was just checking the weather or whatever, So I try and have these discussions usually at night, usually when we're all like relaxed and like, or maybe sometimes at the dinner table or sometimes after, or when anybody had to get off a device to come have the conversation.
Right.
But just when we're all kind of naturally sitting around talking. And usually that works the best for me.
And I have learned to kind of, it's always good in any situation to kind of like go into their world too and, experience their world. And so sometimes I'll watch them build Minecraft things and they'll excited. Or, the new game is Among Us.
Yes, I know.
We've, and so that's when I've brought up discussions about strangers or, like what happens when there's a stranger who's, doing something that they shouldn't be doing or saying. And so that when I'm right there and I'm entering their world, that's like a good time too, I think, to just without any sort of any tone that is saying like you're in trouble if this happens. It's just like if this happens, let's talk about that.
It's very neutral.
Yes, very neutral.
Very neutral. And it is hard to come into their world. I mean, they always want to show me their things.
Yeah.
And I am curious and I do want to see, but sometimes, like watching a Minecraft world, it like hurts the eyes sometimes. My brain hurts.
And the mind. I know.
Feels like I'm on a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, and but that's so important. And so I really do try and make time for that. I don't do it as much as I should, but
I don't do it either as much as I should. But every once in a while, I try to make a touch point, and I just think it's better than nothing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's a low bar, but it is, it is what it is.
Yeah. So I think like when I have these conversations we have, I probably do it like, I don't know, average of once a month. I don't know. And sometimes I do set a new boundary. I might say like, you know what? Like I said a few months ago, I said, I think we need a break from YouTube. I know that's not going to be like exciting for everybody to hear, but I think we're just going to take a break until probably for a couple months, probably till after the election's over. That was that's what I said, even though it was just like an end date in my mind. It's like, maybe we'll reevaluate then. And I had a couple kids, I don't remember, one or two, who were like, yeah, that's probably a good idea, Mom. I was like, wow. Yeah. And then a couple who were kind of annoyed at me or like frustrated with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay to set boundaries. And I think too, like, what's important to you? Like, which boundary is important to you? Maybe you don't like YouTube at all. And so your boundary is, we don't do YouTube. One of my boundaries is my kids don't use devices from 8:30 in the morning, or like 8:30 p.m. to 8:30 in the morning, usually. And because for me, like sleep is just a value.
Yeah.
It's so important for me, for the kids to have good sleep. And so that isn't really important to me.
Yeah.
I know that that's not that important to everybody. I know this because my kids have friends who are up late doing stuff and they don't get to participate.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And we do have devices at night to help people sleep. So, totally. With,
and I get
meditation apps and audiobooks and things like that. So it's different for every family. And I think that's good.
That's good.
Good thing.
But I think like I can't come in with like all the boundaries.
Yeah.
And just be, authoritarian about it. But I think because my kids know that I do value their input and I am, thoughtful about everything, taking everything into consideration, I think they're okay then with when I do have a boundary or two.
Yes, exactly. They know you're not just throwing these rules around.
No.
Yeah, it's very thoughtful. It's very, like I said, like kind of least restrictive and,
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not trying to make
and
the
then
world
it also like
terrible.
A boundary for me is like meant to be broken.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody needs to do something later or earlier, or like they want to play with friends late at night once or twice, I'm okay with that.
Which also tells our kids it's not about the rule. It's about the meaning behind the rule and how it feels. And so I'm not saying this just so I can say no every time you ask me this one question. I'm saying it, I can say yes if I think that it's okay now. It's okay to change your mind about that thing.
Right.
Another thing I like to do, instead of focusing on the rules and what we can't do and how little time everybody has from their perspective, is that I like to focus on just doing things in real life. I like having a fun maybe game to play all together or a movie to watch together. And I know that's a screen, and I used to think, I'm counting this as screen time, family movie night or something. That's our screen time.
Yeah.
No, that's out the window. It's different.
I agree.
Different kind of screen time. It is screen time, but it's different. But or we're gonna go for a family walk, or go play outside with a dog. I will often just say, Finn really needs you to play with him outside, our dog. And so a lot of times that's enough to get people off their screens.
That's great.
Yeah.
I agree. I am trying to focus on the fun other thing, the non-screen fun, which is a challenge in a pandemic.
Well, it is. And I don't want it to be like, well, we have to be these entertainers, and if it's not fun and entertaining out here, then they're just going to go to their screens. I don't mean that. I just want them to feel engaged in the real world, connected and engaged in the real world. And so sometimes I will say, I don't feel like you're even trying, none of us are really trying to engage. So let's just take time off of screens.
Yeah.
Let's just all agree, no screens.
Yep.
for a couple hours or whatever, because we need this right now. We need this. So, I don't want it to be, I don't want parents to be, the cruise directors of this pandemic.
No.
And so I often will say, you can do anything you want right now that's not on a screen. I mean, there are so many choices. We've got a lot of things to do around here.
Yeah.
So I can always help with that. I do a lot. You've got lists of great fun things to do all the time. But I just, my point is, I want you to be part of this world. I want to be in the world.
Yes, that's so good. That's so good.
But it does help that they want to do those things sometimes, even just to have a great discussion with dad, about something, or I don't know, we're going to go sledding or something, and, something that they're like, yeah, this is what life is really about. This is awesome.
Right. And I have said that to my kids before, like, it isn't really about how much you're on the screens. It's about, like, what are you doing the other times? Like, are you being creative? Do you have things that you're excited and passionate about? Those kinds of things are really important. So those are more my judge.
And I know you've mentioned lately, it's so good to just have time to sit and think and wonder about things.
Yeah, I was telling my kids, of course, I'm like, when I was your age, and super annoyingly, I do that. But it's true. When I was younger, I remember just like sitting and staring. Okay.
Yeah,
like
I do too.
I mean, not even just when I was younger, when I was like 20 or, not so much anymore, but I would just sit there and like, there's nothing to do. So you're just staring off, Yeah. And my kids said to me, oh, I do that. I do that at 8:30. Like after we put the devices away. Yeah. That's what I do when I'm laying in bed.
And you're like, yeah,
like,
that's why.
I'm like, okay, good thing I had this boundary because that's the only time you do that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I don't think we solved anything.
We weren't, good thing we weren't trying to.
We weren't trying to. But I hope that you feel a little bit less alone as you are navigating the device dilemma in your own family.
It's a tricky time. We'd love to hear from you. How are you doing this? And how is it going for you? What are your tricks and tips?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to loving this week.
Yes. Angela, what are you loving this week?
Okay. I am loving a recipe.
Ooh.
It is fall, which for me, that means soup season. And actually, I make soup pretty much year round, except when it's
Who are we kidding?
Who are we kidding? Well, and I'm trying to simplify my, like my dinners.
Okay.
Trying to simplify things as always. It's another thing I think about all the time. How can I simplify dinner time?
Right.
And one of the ways that I'm doing that is I am making a big pot of something once a week.
Nice.
And I'm doing it at the beginning of the week. So then I can eat it the rest of the week. Like, so that I have something to eat for the rest of the week. Because, if we have chicken nuggets for dinner, that's not going to give me any leftovers. Or
agreed. Yes.
If one of my kids makes dinner, which is so nice, usually there's not a lot of leftovers.
Yeah.
So this gives me all the leftovers. And so I can't eat dairy and gluten and eggs.
Yeah,
so it's just really annoying.
Limits.
I have to make something that I can eat.
Right.
Then I can have that for lunch. And this just makes my week go easier. So anyways,
so this is a big pot thing.
This is a big pot of something.
Great.
It's soup. And I make soup like once a week for this purpose. Well, I was kind of getting bored of all my regular soups, and I went searching for another soup that I could make. And I found this recipe from AveryCooks.com. I don't know Avery, but I like her recipe for it's called Easy 30-minute homemade chicken tortilla soup.
Ooh. Now,
I've made chicken tortilla soup before.
Yeah.
A few different times in a few different recipes. It hasn't been this good.
Really?
This one actually only took 30 minutes and it was delicious.
Because I thought we had one of those. I thought we had
Yeah,
one that
we've had one.
we've made before.
We've had one. It's not
No.
this good.
Oh,
This
wow.
is so good.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Okay, so it uses like cooked chicken, right? Frozen corn, beans, like a can of beans, and some diced tomatoes,
Okay.
right? That's like the basis of the soup. So I think what makes it taste good is all the seasonings that she has in all the right proportions. Because those other things aren't, I mean, they're fine. That's like
basic.
what you put in any soup,
Sure.
right? So the seasonings make it really, really good. Plus I happen to have cilantro, so I put that in. I love cilantro. I know not everybody does, but has paprika, cumin, chili powder, lime juice.
Yum.
It was delicious. And my kids all liked it.
Sounds amazing.
Which doesn't happen. Now, this recipe, she has you make these tortilla strips to go in it.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. Just use corn chips or whatever chips you want.
Okay.
Or you could make the tortilla chips if you wanted, but I actually did because I happen to have corn tortillas that I needed to use up.
Wow.
But I wouldn't normally because I just use corn chips. So I've been eating this for like at least once a day since then.
Okay. Great.
And I'll put the recipe in the show notes.
That sounds great.
It's
I need
perfect for
something
fall.
like this too. I really do.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel like I'm on a little bit of a I don't know what the word is. I need help.
You're in a rut.
I'm in a rut.
When you're
That's
in a
what it
rut,
is.
sometimes you just need like one recipe, a new recipe that gets everybody excited. Like, oh, these are some new flavors.
And honestly, that's all I want. More recipes would be overwhelming. Just one good one would be so great.
Yes, that's how I felt when I found the Lazy Genius chicken shawarma.
Oh yes, that was another one of your LTWs. Yeah,
was it an LTW? I think it was because that we had that at least once a week for about 2 months. Everybody was so excited.
That's
so
great.
I think this is going to be my new one because it tastes delicious. So.
Okay.
Anyway, what are you loving, Maren?
Okay, well, I'm loving a new kind of soap refill. And it's it's for hand soap. I just bought it for hand soap. I know they have lots of other kinds, but it's from a company called Blue Land, and it's just a tablet.
Yes, I've heard of this company before.
Yeah, and so it's a tablet. It's and so I just I needed more soap, and I was like, I am not going to Target and buying. I need
a big jug.
4. I need like 4 more. I need 4 hand soaps, and I just don't want to buy 4 big bottles of hand soap again. I don't like that. Yeah.
So is this a foaming hand soap?
It is. Yes.
Okay, so you have a foaming pump.
Yep, I do. And so here's what I'm going to give you a tip if anybody does this. I know you can buy the actual dispenser from Blue Land.
Oh, yeah.
But thankfully, I already had bought these hand soap. I had already bought hand soap from Target, and the brand was Everspring. And I'm telling you that because these tablets are kind of wide, and so they wouldn't fit in just any hand soap container necessarily if it's a narrow opening. But Everspring, the opening was like just big enough. So now I don't have to buy more plastic. So I just dropped this.
So awesome.
I just dropped this tablet in, filled it up with water, closed the cover, and shook it, and we're ready to go. And the tablets are $2 each.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, so cheaper than a bottle of new soap.
I'm imagining this is a subscription.
I didn't get a subscription, and I don't know that they have them. Maybe they do, but now I'm kind of thinking I might want to get these for the other things that they have. They have a lot of cleaning products.
They do?
Yes, that are just tablets. So,
just tablets.
Yeah,
I think I've seen them before, and I can't remember where.
It's all
like a
non-toxic,
Yeah.
Earth-friendly packaging, and so I feel really good about it. And I just need simple things in my life like this. Why do we have to keep buying more and more things? So I really like the simpleness of it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then we don't have to, we have tablets in the bathrooms.
All ready to go.
All ready to go. Really easy. So
yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you would like to find us on Facebook and Instagram, we are at Homeschool Unrefined there. We'd love to have you follow us. And then we have our website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find the episode to share. And then we have links there to everything that we talked about. And we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Homeschool Unrefined is created and produced by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Amanda Ginn is our content and marketing strategist.
This podcast is listener supported. We have been and are happy to be personally investing in this business we believe in. But we also know we deserve to have a business that invests in itself. When we reach 200 patrons, we'll have enough to cover our costs and the many projects we are dreaming of. Join our growing community at patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined.
Additionally, we are donating 10% of all Patreon income and product sales to The Conscious Kid, a Black and Brown-led organization that has been instrumental in our own evolution and in leading the way in both ideological and tangible change with their work in parenting and education through a critical race lens.
No matter how you homeschool, you are exactly who your kids need. You're doing great.